Can you rate? Can you rate Stitch? Can you rate a little bit? I hope so. Can you wait a couple of hours? Can... Hey, yeah, we are working. And hi, this is so weird. I've just decided minutes ago that I'm gonna start streaming again out of nowhere. If you're looking at my page and thinking, what is she doing? She talks about, I don't know, Animal Crossing if you're on Twitch, or something to do with some type of web technology if you're on YouTube, then I apologise, because that was Tanya from the last decade. I'm in 2026 and things have changed. So actually, before I kick off with today's topic, maybe I should tell you what prompted me to actually, in a woolly hat in May, with my old glasses, not even my current prescription, decide to jump on stream and start talking. So I have been pretty much offline for 6-7 years now, and it's been lovely. It's been great. I've actually been productive in doing things with life. However, things have changed. Not with me personally, just in the state of the world, things have changed. Which made me think, maybe it's time to start using my voice again and start, I don't know, thinking out loud. Not coming to you with a concrete, here's X, Y, and Z, or buy this course. Definitely not doing any of that around here. But it just made me think, maybe it's time I start using my voice again, because I have been very silent on many things on the internet. If you see me in real life, if you see me in person, I don't shut up. And I'm permanently on some type of soapbox about something. But 2026 came about, and I thought I need to start coming back to the internet streets and thinking out loud in a public way. I think we all know what's going on with the world. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. I promise. This is not a political stream, not at all. But we know the state of the world. And I guess it's my superpower, my blessing, or curse, depending on how you see it. I've always been able to see things, see the patterns, and connect the dots early. So what's happening currently in 2026, I had seen coming from 2020, and had been actively preparing myself from early 2024, because I was like, this is going to get worse. I need to start getting myself in a position to handle it, because if I can't handle it, I can't help those around me when the time comes. And look where we are now. But this is not what this stream is about. I promise you. We are going to talk about SEO and stuff like that in a bit. I'm just giving you a little bit of backstory. So, why am I back streaming? So, actually, no, fast forward. So, earlier this year, I started blogging again. So, I built myself a brand new website. I didn't realize that my old website was still alive, and I was actively paying for that domain for over 10 years, and I hadn't maintained it in that entire time. So tanyapowell.co.uk still existed, and I was still paying for it, as we do with many domain names and stuff like that we buy and then forget to turn off that auto renew. But I didn't want to publish underneath that banner. I was like, yeah, that's my name. It's a bit, it's fine. But I was like, what my handle that I use across social medias, even though I've not been active, has been Hey Tan Hey. And I was like, I'm going to buy that domain and do something with it. So earlier this year, I finally built my new site, which is active. And I've started blogging on it, talking about various things. Again, thinking out loud. So I've done stuff like experimenting with oil forecasting. I'm not a financial analyst in the slightest, but I was like, I know how to write code. So I'll try and spin up some type of Monte Carlo functionality to see if I can forecast um, oil prices for the following week based on what's currently in the news, which is interesting. And that kicked off because early in the Iran conflict, there was constant Goldman Sachs have forecasted this, and I was like, how are they doing the forecasting? Because what news is being delivered to us seems much more dramatic than what they're forecasting. And I was like, there's a divergence here, and I want to try and understand it a little bit more. By the way, this is part of my thinking out loud process. It's the sort of things that I do. When I'm thinking out loud, I might run an experiment to try and understand things further. Then again, earlier this year, I had a very strange interaction. I say strange, it just shocked me. Someone messaged me on LinkedIn with my name, Tanya Powell, which freaked me out because I was like, oh my God, did I set up some type of bot, some sort of automation to message myself? I'm like, why would I pick LinkedIn? Which sent me down a rabbit hole. But I eventually replied to her and said, and we had a nice conversation. And I was like, how did you find me? Were you on LinkedIn looking for your namesakes? How did you come across me? And she said that she had been using ChatGPT to look herself up. And I kept popping up. And she found me interesting. Now, we all know about training data and stuff like that. We don't need to go there. But it did, I guess it went into my subconscious, that interaction with her. And I forgot about it. And then, I don't know what happened yesterday. I really can't remember the exact thing that happened yesterday, which made me go, you know what? I'm going to use various LLMs, the large language models, to look myself up. Because I've never done that before. I've never, Googled myself before. So I'm going to see what they come up with. Because I know what triggered it. I was looking at a stale PR. I've been out sick for almost 2 months now. And I now have a hand injury, which is why my hand's in the sling. My dominant hand, which is fun, having to learn how to live life with using your non-dominant hand. But I had a stale in terms of how old it was, not that it was out of date or useless. SEO PR that I had open, and I thought to myself, oh, let me actually use these large language models. So I started off with Claude to look myself up and see what they come up with, because on my site I have explicitly denied training data. Like, if it's in live search or using web search or web fetching, an LLM can use my sites, what I publish publicly, but it can't train on my site. So I've made that explicit decision. Up to you if you want to do that. There's no right or wrong. It's entirely up to you. But I've made that decision. So I go into Claude and I'm like, who is Tanya Powell? As simple as that. Who is Tanya Powell? And it came up with about 10 different Tanya Powells. I wasn't one of them. Surprise, surprise. I've not been online for 10 years. Well, not 10 years, it's exaggerating, 7 years. So I wasn't surprised. But it listed all these people and told me their location for some reason. And I was like, oh, these are all US-based people. I was like, that's interesting. And I was like, I asked Claude, is your web search based on the IP address of your data center? And he was like, that's really interesting. Yes, it is. And I was like, okay. So we're now, if you're using Claude in its current form, it might change. When it's using web searches or web fetches, if you're not explicit with the location so it can adjust its query, it's got a heavy bias towards the US. Fine, fair enough. We now know that. Which now led me down the path of, how are AI agents or large language models, full stop. How are they searching for things? Because if you think about traditional SEO, everything's done by keywords. So you have to have that keyword prompt. But how is it being done in the world of AI? Which sent me down a rabbit hole, right? Sent me down a rabbit hole, and I've forgotten everything that I learned yesterday. Which brings me to streaming, because during my time of recovery, when I'm just coming back from sick leave, and I've been watching like way too much online content, way too much YouTube, way too much streaming services, way too much. And because my dominant hand is out of use, not fully functional, I should say, I've been having to use voice to text or voice notes a lot. And I'm sorry, I just got distracted by a cat. I do that. I get very distracted very quickly. So because I had been using voice notes and voice to text so much, while I've not been able to fully use my dominant hand, it made me realize, it reminds me the power of voice when text can't be used. So I was like, maybe it's time for me to come back to streaming and start doing my thinking, my thought process, my rambling out loud with everyone, to make it more of a collaborative thing. Because when I'm researching notes to write on my website, so I don't write blog posts, I write notes, because notes are never ending, right? They're never concrete. They are literally your thought process as you're going through things. You might tidy up afterwards, but they are your thought process. So on my website, I explicitly call them notes, not blog posts or articles. They're notes, because they're not finished they're not finished products. And I have to do research when I'm writing them, as we all do. And I was like, let me start streaming and using the power of my voice to interact with people. So I'm fully aware when I'm researching, I have blind spots, I have biases. So I can make my research part of writing my notes or working on a product or whatever, to be honest, more collaborative with everyone, not just what's in my tunnel vision at the moment, like things I may not have thought about, things I may not have considered, so that I have more in-depth notes and more in-depth products, because I also build products as well. I'm not trying to sell you any of them. I make digital products because I am I'm a CTO at my day job, and I've been in the software engineering environment for over 10 years now. So I still write code. I know we have AI and AI can do everything. I still write code. Don't get me wrong, I do use AI agents, but AI code, but I also will write stuff and do the occasional review on what the AI agent's done as well. But yesterday I went down this rabbit hole of SEO in the world of AI, because as SEO as we currently know it is very keyword specific, and AI, LLMs, large language models, is more semantic. So I want to know, how should we be preparing ourselves for this world, or what is currently out there, what has been proposed, what direction are we going in if you want to be discovered? So this lady with my name discovered me via ChatGPT, which was interesting, because I have done it before. I have used an AI to search for something that I really should just Google myself, like something basic, but out of laziness I've just gone, what is blah blah blah. And I think, and if we're honest with ourselves, I think we've all done it, right? But it made me think, how are things moving forward? What's currently being worked on? What's being proposed, which sent me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. Now you got to bear with me, I'm using my left hand and I'm right hand dominant. So things might be a little slow, a little janky. This production quality is not it, but you know, we don't need perfection around here, do we? And in fact, I think I'm streaming on YouTube. Bear with me one moment, because I think I am, but I'm not actually sure if I am. Yes, I am. Great. Just want to make sure it is working. So I'm gonna move over to my, honestly, it has been such a lesson having to use my left hand for everything. It's been such a lesson. Right, we clicked, we moved over, we're on to something else. So I will get there slowly on using my left hand for everything. So I said to you earlier, I have explicitly blocked training as best as I can from my website heytanhey.com. So I did it in the robots.txt. Don't copy this verbatim, it's outdated already and I have a PR to update it. But just to give you an idea of how robots.txt might work in this world. So I have made the decision to block training. It was a personal decision. So there's already a way for AI, large language models, to retrieve the content and understand a bit more about me and infer about me from my website. But I've blocked it from training on me. I do also have a llms.txt, which is just markdown of my site, like a rough overview of who I am, anything I'm currently working on, so my recent notes, any key links and stuff like that. So they're in my llms.txt, which is just markdown because they can read markdown natively. So if you want to think about that as well, consider adding an llms.txt to your site as well if you wanted a bit more control, I guess, of how you are discovered by agents or AI, full stop. So have a think about that as well. But I created a bit of a blocker, right? Because I've explicitly denied training data from my platform. And my platform, my website, is literally my voice, what I'm working on, what I want to be publicly known about me. So it sent me down this rabbit hole because every platform I checked yesterday, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, and ChatGPT, the same prompt. Who is Tanya Powell? All four of them had different results. And funnily enough, I was number one on both of the ChatGPT results. I say two because it gave me the A/B testing. So if anyone isn't a ChatGPT user, which I kind of doubt people have not used ChatGPT unless it's blocked in their country. Occasionally ChatGPT will ask you which response you prefer, and that's A/B testing, so they can test how to give responses to you in a very high level roundabout way. So I wanted to know, okay, I've created this friction now, but don't need to train your data based on me, because, and I'll tell you the primary reason why I decided that. I'm fed up of being extracted from. As simple as that. As simple as that. I'm done with being extracted from. Just done. So I made that decision to block the training. But you can fetch from me in real time if someone was to query something about me or something that I've written about or something I have put out publicly. And there's that I've created that friction, I've created that boundary. Now, what are other ways? So I found some articles, pretty fresh articles. I say fresh, it's got the date of May 27th, 2025, which was a year ago. Oh, how embarrassing. But there's been other stuff more recently, I promise you that, about generative engine optimization versus search engine optimization. So SEO and GEO. I'm going to say GEO and not GEO because having an acronym like this is truly, truly confusing, because we all know GEO to be geo, short for geography, and having another acronym or shortcut is just confusing, man. We could have, sir, I'm not like trying to be too critical, but yeah, could have picked something else. I'm just saying, right? Not in an offensive way, I'm just saying. It's confusing. So this person, Daniel, thank you, Daniel, he wrote an article on generative engine optimization versus SEO. And I think it's like an ongoing series of what he's been writing about. So I did read it yesterday and completely forgotten everything about it, which is part of a live stream, is that we go over things together. So some things are genuinely brand new to me, some things I've just forgotten. So he's proposed the term, he's coined the term GEO, and it's a way to understand how to optimize greater for AI search visibility in Google, Bing, etc. So the difference is about increasing awareness, fair enough, and to get a hang of the difference. Because something I did find out yesterday, which I found very interesting, is there was a study that said that 93% of web searches performed by the large language models in this particular test didn't actually click on the content. So it was zero click, so no click-through rate that happened 93% of the time. That's quite a lot. I found an article that states that, so we can go over it together, because it will be interesting to know what the variables and the parameters were to come up to for them to reach that extremely high percentage rate. But that tells you that if AI is skewing towards not clicking on the content and just getting a description or using your current like meta tags potentially, I don't know, we're going to find out, using your meta tags to discover you or find your content, we might end up spending more time on the meta optimizations potentially rather than content. So this sort of stuff can get sticky if you think about it, because oh hey Charlie, I did not see you. Yes, I'm back here chatting about blah blah blah, who knows. Yes, I'm live again. I'm injured, I'm live, but I'm here. How are you, my dear? See, this is why I prefer live streaming, because I can interact and chat to people and also get distracted at the same time. And I've completely forgotten what I was talking about. See, rough, uncut, raw. We don't need perfection around here. So, we need to understand, if you want your content to be discovered, you need to understand how it works in the world of AI. And what we traditionally know to do with SEO might be completely out of the window. So yes, Charlene, metadata may be taking up time. We don't know yet. We're gonna find out. So we're gonna research this and learn together. I don't have any of the answers. It's just a rabbit hole that I went down. And actually, while you're there, if there's anything like you may be thinking about in terms of this, let's pop it in the chat and we can take a look. So, okay. I'm getting so distracted. Now it's just a conversation between me and you. No, back focused. Right, so we need to understand, if you want your content to be discovered, we need to understand how to do it in the world of AI and LLMs, because more and more people are going to a chatbot to do their research and their searching before they go to more traditional forms of, I say traditional, more commonly known forms of researching, like Googling or using DuckDuckGo or whatever their preferred method of searching is. They're going more towards using a chatbot to do it for them. So if you want your content to be flagged, to be aware, you've got multiple streams. You can use your robots.txt and explicitly allow training to happen on your platform. And you have to think semantically, not keyword wise. Or you can go another route, or potentially both. So we're going to find out together how this goes. So Daniel's proposing that GEO is a newer concept that's emerged in response in the rise of AI-driven search engines, which is true. You know, how many times have you been on Google, for example, and instead of scrolling through, you've just gone with the AI search result and used that as canon. There's no problem with doing it. There's no there's no judgment zone. There's no judgment here. But let's be honest, if you have or haven't done it, I've done it. But I'm becoming more conscious of it. And I'll tell you something that the social media age and also the AI age has taught me. So Web 2 and also the AI age, which is not Web 3 because crypto's taken that. It's made me go more in depth, and I no longer just skim articles. I actually read things top to bottom, because it's so easy to miss information and misinterpret and misunderstand things. So I've been actively retraining myself to read things top left to bottom right, because it's so easy to misunderstand that sort of thing. And so Charlene, you made a brand wiki with Claude and Obsidian for GEO purposes. I only made it last week. See, so you're thinking about the same thing as well. So what kind of stuff has been in your brand wiki specifically for GEO or discoverability purposes? I'm really curious. And where does your wiki live as well? Is your wiki I'm guessing the purpose of it is to be discovered by these models, right? That's my assumption. Let me know. I'm very intrigued. So, here's something. I read this yesterday. Honestly, I've completely forgotten everything that I read in this yesterday. So, I actually didn't know that for AI generated Google result is called Google's Search Generative Experience. I didn't realize that. And they generate comprehensive research by synthesizing information from multiple sources. Yeah, they do. Okay, so here's the thing. AI is great at synthesizing stuff. We all know it makes mistakes. We all know it. But you have to ask yourself, what exactly is it synthesizing? What is it grabbing? Because if it's not grabbing your actual full content, because remember, I said to you earlier, I'm going to pull up an article in a bit that said that 93% in their study of AI search results are not clicking through to the content. So you have to ask yourself, what information are they using to synthesize a comprehensive response? I'm assuming, I don't know, we will try and figure out that. I'm assuming it's the metadata. I'm assuming it's what we've got in our meta. Or via LLMs, I can't say it, it's just so hard for me, llms.txt, or some other mechanism, because, by the way, llms.txt is not standard yet. It's still in its proposed phase, but it is heavily used. So you should look into that. So you have to ask yourself, what exactly is it synthesizing? Where is it getting the data, the information, the words to synthesize from if it's not clicking? So honestly, sent me down a rabbit hole, especially as I said earlier, when I asked Claude, who is Tanya Powell, and all of the results were US based. I'm like, hang on, we've also now got a GEO issue, because some searches, like Google search, I know for sure, it is based on your location, the IP address, so your location. So it will tailor things. I'm in the UK, so it tailor more UK relevant things to me. But I wanted to understand, do they all do that? Because when I did my prompt yesterday, who is Tanya Powell, across Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and Gemini, all four gave me wildly different responses, different people. And especially Gemini made me really realize it, because at the end of its response, it gave me like a little asterisk, more like a little FYI, is that, are you actually looking for Lucy Powell for politician? And I was like, this is very British specific, because on the international scene, how many people may be aware of Deputy Labour leader Lucy Powell? I don't know. So it just makes you think that maybe, some things are geo-specific and some things are not. So you have to have multiple different strategies. Okay, so Shani, you said that your brand wiki, which is GEO for GEO purposes, you currently got it deployed to Cloudflare. Is it publicly available? Or is it behind like auth? I was wondering, how have you let various AIs fetch and retrieve this brand wiki you have? And tell me about your agents.md as well. I'm curious about that, because I've used agents.md, but it was high level way, and I just completely forget about it. So I'm babysitting my brother's cat. He's also injured. It's a household full of injured, sick people. And he is just running around because I finally let him out of his cage, and he's just running around like a crazy, crazy cat. But get your energy out, mate, so that I can actually sleep later. That would be great. So we're now in a two-strand digital world. We have to get our content available for humans and also for AI. So it does, I won't say it creates an issue, but it does add a bit more work onto us. How do we make our content discoverable via the various ways that people will be discovering it? And especially if you're using your own platform to do this, or you're building your own product, or whatever it may be. Because if you're using something that's hosted, buying other platforms, or we're using like social media. So right now I'm chatting to you on Twitch. So Twitch is going to be in charge of my discoverability via whatever tags or categories, etc. that I use. But it's not going to be the discover this human via a web search targeting to audience of a human and audience of AI. That's on Twitch's and YouTube's side to do. But if it's your own work, you're gonna have to do the work, innit? So we've got two different types of users: human and AI. So you got the classic SERP, and then you have the synthesized generative discoverability as well. So this is interesting, measurement of success, which I always find measurement of success when it comes to like SEO and things like that very, what's the term I'm reaching for? It's very behavioral, like behavioral. I'm trying not to like rant and rave. It's very behavioral engineering, because if you think about it, when SEO came about, it changed the behavior of how content was written and delivered on the internet, just so it can be discovered, because the easiest way to index content was via keywording, because it made things easier to organize. Whereas humans, generally, we're very semantic. We speak in sentences with full punctuation, whether we realize it or not. So when classic SEO came about, it did change the behavior of how content was even written on the internet. I mean, how many times the amount of times I've gone onto Google back in the old days, gone into Google to search for something and scrolled pages and pages and pages, because the first page or the first 2 or 3 pages were just keyword injected nonsense. And I'm like, this is not what I'm looking for. You just put in the keyword to get from my query to flag you, which is very annoying, because it just became like behavioral engineering because of the keyword indexing. But now we're moving back to semantic, which is more natural to the way we operate and function as biological beings. So this measurement of success, I'm very intrigued to see how we go with the measurement of success in GEO, because measurement of success in SEO is more binary. Do you have the keywords, yes or no? Do you have this particular set of words, true or false? So it was a bit more binary, whereas when you're doing things semantically, it's a bit more fuzzy, because you have to infer the intention of the query and the prompt. So it's interesting is what basically I'm trying to say. So how you gonna measure it, and how it's gonna be recommended to measure it in the near future, something we definitely need to keep an eye on. Definitely something. I'm gonna keep an eye on it, definitely. Like, how do we measure the success of how GEO is doing for our brand, our content, our products, our service, whatever it is that we're delivering digitally? It's interesting. So Daniel's saying that it's different between SEO and GEO. Fair enough. With different metrics. Understandable. So HubSpot's got an AI search grader. And click. What exactly is that? Yeah, no, I'm not signing up for you at all. I'm not signing this up. No. Powered by OpenAI, Perplexity, and Gemini. So many questions I have with this. I haven't even clicked on this grader. So this is why I like live streaming, because you get to see my thought process. This grader already is, I'm reaching it, I'm seeing it, and I've got so many questions. What exactly has HubSpot defined as each grade? Because every culture, every society, every country does things differently. And if I remember correctly, HubSpot is a US-based company. So a lot of what they're going to say is worthy or given a higher grade might be baked in biases based off cultural norms in the US. Because something else is really, really bugging me. And it's been bugging me for years, and it's just getting worse and worse. It's just compounding. Is how, because of big tech, so many US-based norms are just now worldwide norms. And it's like, come on, man. Like, everyone does things slightly differently. You have to give it, like, geography variations. Like, that's so... it's annoying. Okay, if anyone wants to look at this HubSpot AEI grader, let me know, and then come back to me and tell me what it's really like, so I can get off my soapbox. I haven't even looked at it. It's just already got me annoyed. And something interesting, we were looking at GEO, right? GEO before, which, let me remind myself because I've forgotten. It is Generative Engine Optimization. This is a term coined by Daniel. EEO. What is EEO? Is this a completely separate term? Is this something that's completely different? Sorry, I've got cats fighting next to me. Got to separate them, you know. Because for little ones, my brother's cat is still injured. He forgets. You can't be fighting, so you just had surgery on a broken leg. So you've got GEO, Generative Engine Optimization. And now we're stumbling across AEO, Answer Engine Optimization. Are these the same thing? Are they completely different? Alright, let me take out my injured hand. I need 2 hands for this. I'm gonna search for AEO versus GEO versus AIO. Is rabbit hole. So let's look at the AI overview. So for Google search optimization, no, what do they call it? Sorry, I'm going to keep going back and forth because I'm trying to get the terminology correct in my head, and all of these acronyms are going to confuse me, and I'm thinking out loud with you all. So Google call it, where did we see it? Google search generative experience. So according to Google search generative experience, AEO, Answer Engine Optimization, is optimizing content to provide direct, extractable answers to quick search results, voice assistants, and features snippets. GEO, Generative Engine Optimization is optimizing your website so that a large language model and conversational tools like Gemini, Perplexity, or ChatGPT synthesize your brand as a trusted, quotable source. AEO is AI optimization / AI overviews, often a catch-all term for creating content and workflows that AI systems can easily crawl, understand, and summarize. Okay, let's just take that one in. So just looking at that, we've now got to contend with making sure that we have extractable answers somewhere high enough in our content for these quick search results, quick being the keyword here, voice assistants and feature snippets to extract from. We also need to optimize our websites and our web apps so that conversational AI tools can synthesize us as trusted, quotable sources. So you need to have content that is quote worthy. And then we also need to be creating content and workflows that allow AI systems to easily crawl, understand, and summarize, specifically in tools like Google's AI overviews. So I'm going to say that my llms.txt does the last part, the AEO, if I'm understanding correctly. So it's created a short markdown that you can quickly synthesize of who I am. Literally, it's got a 2-sentence bio at the top. Links to some of the stuff that I've written if you want to have a deeper look, if you don't have enough understanding. But it's just giving me more questions and answers, which is good, because that is why we are here, to understand and research together. Oh, great. So we've got target audiences. Interesting. I should have just come here in the first place, right? I should have just come here and read this and be over and done with. No, I actually do like to read further now because of exactly what we're saying, exactly what I've been saying, because everything's been optimized and synthesized to get feature flagged. I say feature flagged to be up high in the rankings and purposely inside of this type of content, that we can easily miss something. And whatever the people who understand these things, or at least understand the buzzwords and how to flow a sentence, what they consider optimization will become the norms, because you have to remember everything for AI search is still in motion, is still in flight. Nothing's been confirmed. This is the way to go. Everything's still in discoverability mode. So you have to try multiple things and keep an eye on it. So AEO, its target audience is voice search users, features snippet hunters, and users wanting an instant answer. Question for anyone who is willing to answer. Are you that target audience? Are you a voice search user, or a featured snippet hunter, or someone who wants an instant answer? Or is it dependent on the situation? You might use voice search for some things or an instant answer for other things. Like, if you had to think what kind of who you are as a target audience. Who do you think you are? Because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking maybe, perhaps, it's going to have to be multiple strategies, as there currently are, multiple strategies to make your content more discoverable. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? That's what I'm starting to think. So how it works is focuses on formatting for quick extraction. Alright, so this is the problem with focusing on formatting for quick extraction. You could be focusing on the worst content, the most meaningless content, could know how to format for the quick extraction. And then that means whatever you're searching for, that content is going to be flagged and brought in easily. And then that's what's going to be featured. That's what's going to be used. I'm not gonna go on my soapbox for that. I'm not. But it's interesting that HubSpot has specifically got an AEO grader. So that I haven't signed in to see or use this tool, but the assumption is their grader, the target audience for their grader, is people who do voice search, featured snippet hunters, and people wanting instant answers. Fine. So the key tactics for AEO is to use concise, factual language, clear headings, FAQ sections, list and schema markups. Yeah, actually, so Shawnee's asked, so every blog should have a structured TLDR. Pretty much. Pretty much. If I'm understanding this correctly, closer to the top, or maybe even in the metadata itself, you need to be using the correct schemas anyway. And you need to definitely have structured schema. AI needs structure. AI needs structure, right? So if you can, earlier in the part that's going to be extracted, needs to have the answer early. So almost give the answer first, and then give the details afterwards for the human reader. Does that make sense? I hope so. That's what I'm understanding anyway. I mean, who knows, right? That's what I'm understanding. And bear with me 1 second, because like a genius, I didn't bring my laptop charger and my battery's about to die. So 1 moment, please hold. I'm back. I've moved locations because where I was sat didn't have a PowerPoint. So I've moved to my PowerPoint instead. Alright, and now my hand's hurting again, back in the sling. So Shani, while I was away, I hope you were entertaining everyone, like doing a little song and dance while I was gone. So Obsidian is set up for how is Obsidian set up? I've never actually used it before. I don't like to pay for things. I just don't. And I also don't like vendor lock-in. I like to be as portable and as flexible as I want. So if I want to run away, I can run away. So I've never actually used Obsidian. I know you can use it for free on one device, but because I'm never just writing on one device. It might be on my phone, my watch, my laptop or whatever. That's why I've never used Obsidian, although I've heard it is amazing. Okay, so at the top of Obsidian, they have the properties. What properties do they have? Is it like, because when you say properties, I'm imagining like tags and stuff like that. What is it? Because when I'm writing, so I'm like, because I don't like vendor lock-in, I like to be able to run away if I get annoyed by a particular product, or if I'm like, I don't like the way this new functionality works, I don't want to use this anymore. Meh. I literally write my notes on my site in plain markdown. Well, they're actually not plain markdown, they're MDX files that I write in, but it is me. And because so many tools now can export out into markdown, so I could be like, I don't know, Apple Notes or Google Docs, and I can export it as markdown. That has helped. Oh, you can save your Obsidian markdowns to Git, and you can use it across devices. Interesting. Maybe I will actually take a look at Obsidian then. I always thought it was just that local. That makes sense. Of course it does. Because when you use GitHub or whatever Git rote platform you want. Which, by the way, have you all heard what's been going on with GitHub? That's a rabbit hole. I'm not touching it. Look it up. You don't need me distracting you with, have you heard what's going on at GitHub stuff? You don't need that. Interesting. And then you can add your own properties. Okay, I'm gonna give Obsidian a go. I'll take a look at it, and I'll let you know. How I feel about it. I'll let you know. Awesome. Thank you for that. So that means, I guess, what you're saying then, when you use Obsidian, because you can add properties. Actually, no. Let me not make assumptions. I can just ask you directly. When you said earlier that, let me read it exactly. You said, oh no, but hang on, what did you say? They said that it's kind of how Obsidian is set up, which is also interesting. What is that? What did I say for you to say that? Because I've forgotten what I said. So just remind me, please. That would be lovely. Okay, so I'm guessing, Shani, you want to know what's going on at GitHub. So, while I was off sick, luckily, I wasn't being active on GitHub. There was apparently a lot of outages happening, and if you go onto their status page, they changed the way they changed their status page. So it made it appear like the outage, or the multiple outages, I think there's quite a few outages, weren't as bad as they really were. And a lot of their features have just been falling over. So people are actively dissatisfied and moving away from the platform and seeking alternatives. So some people, I would be really nice about it, but you definitely just look it up, go down that rabbit hole. So features are falling over, multiple outages, so people are getting annoyed, and like quite prominent online figures have just said they're leaving GitHub. We can't take it anymore. We're just leaving. Some of them have chosen to move to GitLab, but then they hated the experience of GitLab, and then also GitLab laid off a bunch of people the other day, which is another rabbit hole to not go down right now. Maybe we do another live stream just going down the job market and what's going on. Like, there might be multiple streams or a marathon stream. Like, honestly, it's too much. But yeah, essentially, from what I'm looking at for developer experience on GitHub, and even from like my own personal point of view as well, I have noticed that the developer experience is slipping on GitHub. Like some things that I might have been give more allowance to before, but like, yeah, it's fine, but it's starting to compound, and I'm like, annoying. But some people, like prominent online figures, people who might use make some of your favorite open source tools, are like, we're moving away from GitHub. It's over. So look it up. But there are options. So maybe one day on a future stream, we'll explore the other options available as well. We do take some time doing some research and thinking out loud about the other platforms as well. So you've got GitLab, Bitbucket. There's a few other ones where the names escape me right now. But if that's something like other alternatives to GitHub, if that's something you'd find interesting, we could take a look one day together. We could do a little research around that. Let me know what you think. Okay, back to this SEO, GEO, AIO, AEO. Like, honestly, oh my god, the acronyms too much. Right. GEO, the target audience, is people using conversational AI tools for research, comparison, and discovery. It works by focusing on building deeper topical authority and trust, so that AI synthesizes and recommends your brand over competitors. That's interesting, because the topical authority part's interesting, because for traditional SEO or classic SEO, I guess it's called, especially for Google, for it to build that trust on that topical authority is not an overnight thing. It's actually not even a keyword. You need to have these keywords. It takes time. I think it takes on average like 6 to 12 months or something like that for it to deem you trustworthy and having these having topical authority over said topic, niche, category, whatever it is. So that does require continuous content. It's not a one and done type of thing. So you have to remember that, especially if you're quite elaborate in your work as well. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. Even like this. Sorry, I'm reading it in my head again. I'm supposed to be thinking out loud, but I'm reading in my head. Key tactics: elaborate, expert-backed content. Interest. What do we consider expert anyway? High quality third-party citations. Think backlinks. So we still need to be working on our backlinks so that we can get more topical authority. Still important. And strong entity recognition. Strong entity recognition. That's an interesting one because it's a technical way of doing the entity work by using structured schemas, making sure that you're using the correct structured schema in your metadata. But also, what's the other ways of having a strong entity recognition? Things to explore. Then AEO for target audience is the AI algorithms themselves. I'm so grateful it has algorithms as plural because I'm very much over hearing the algorithm for whatever it is. I'm like, it's never just one single algorithm. Oh, it does mind nothing. Anyway, sidetrack. How it works by optimizing the text structure and ensuring your brand footprint is prominent enough for AI platforms to recognize its existence. I have no idea what that even means. I'm going to read it again. If anyone can explain that to me, like a 5-year-old, I would massively appreciate it. AEO, how it works, optimizing the text structure and ensuring your brand footprint is prominent enough for AI platforms to recognize its existence. I don't know what that means. If someone could please explain that to me like a 5-year-old, I would appreciate it. But the key tactics are natural conversational writing, clear context, and establishing a presence across multiple platforms. So like Reddit, etc. So AI models learn that you're widely trusted. Natural conversational writing. This is what I was talking about before of keywords versus semantics. And for AI search optimization, we need to start going back to thinking more semantically, be more semantic driven rather than keyword driven. Exactly for this. So there's no clear consensus of how to get your content discovered in the age of AI. Fine, you have to have multiple strategies you have to target multiple platforms, multiple strategies to find your audience. Fine, fair enough. We just have to try multiple things and figure out what works for us. Okay, fine. We can do that. So there's some like quick wins, like structural things. Here we go. Concise, factual language, clear headings, FAQ sections, lists, schema markup. That is quite. That's all structured. That's fine. That's structured. I think where some people may struggle, well, not struggle per se, but because we all speak differently, our choice of words, everyone's different. It's this AIO part, this targeting the AI algorithms themselves. So making sure you have natural conversational language because it's different and we don't know how these models are trained. We don't have access, right? And Like I mentioned before, the GEO part, for GEO, by the way, not GEO, as in geography, your location matters here because different cultures, different societies, different countries all write and all have conversational language different. Take British English versus American English. Same language, so very, very different at the same time. Using these tools, it's become incredibly apparent that in American English, they love using the Oxford comma everywhere. When I was in school, if I use Oxford commas as flagrantly as they do, my teacher would be like, "What are you doing?" Fail. Instant fail. So that part's gonna be interesting because different languages, different cultures, different ways of writing, what's considered structural, what's considered formal. So many variations with it. So really interesting. So, and how they work together. Think of these as a hierarchy rather than completely separate projects. Fair enough. Traditional SEO gets you in the search game. AEO ensures you quick, structured answers. GEO builds the authority so AI tools actually recommend you. AIO underpins everything by ensuring machines can understand and process your content. I think we all have a lot of homework to do. For all of our content, products, services, anything we do on the digital world, we have some homework to do if your intention is to be discovered, which I think it is for all of us. Okay, so that was the AI overview, or as we now know it's called, Google's search generative experience. Jargon. It's going to take me a long time to get my head around all this jargon. Earlier I mentioned that I had read something yesterday that said in a study that 93% of AI web searches did not click on the content, and it was synthesizing from, well, let's find out. Here is the article I am talking about. This was released recently, so initially in March 2026, so March 2nd, and it was updated on April 12th of this year. So in the summary, this is the part I'm referring to. Let me highlight. Can I highlight with my left hand? Yay, win. Zero-click AI search means being mentioned inside the answer matters more than ranking it below, with 93% of AI mode sessions ending without a website click or website visit. So when you're getting AI generated answers to whatever your search query is, according to this article, 93% of them are not actually visiting the website. So we have to ask ourselves, how do we get discovered if we're not reading the bulk of our content? We're not clicking through. They're synthesizing and inferring based on things like your llms.txt, things like what's easily extractable from your metadata. So we have to start optimizing for that. If you want to read this article, it is superlines.io and it's called future trends in AI search, optimization, and content strategy for 2026 and beyond. And we're seeing 7 trends reshaping AI search optimization in 2026 for Agentic Commerce, multi-platform GEO, zero-click answers, and what marketers should know. Whew, it's a lot. I just realised I left my drink. No, I didn't. I brought my drink with me. 1 second. Let me take a sip. Alright. Do you think this is all for AI shopping more than service-based businesses, especially AEO and GEO? Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I think a lot of how to optimize various things for the AI age, it is geared towards like service-based businesses, e-commerce, things that are more API dominant. Very, very rarely am I coming across like blogs. But what's interesting is, so I've returned to social media this year. Can't say I'm enjoying it that much, but I have returned this year, and I'm seeing more and more people return to blogging. I'm not sure why. I can make a guess, but I'm not entirely sure why. But I'm seeing more and more people returning to blogging this year. But a lot of how to blah 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 for AEI. Oh my god. See, these acronyms are getting me confused. How to insert whatever for AI. It is targeted for more service-based stuff and more API related stuff. It's interesting, but I am seeing blogging, like people returning back to blogging more, which is interesting. It's interesting. So a lot of the stuff you're seeing is more for the purposes of making money, which is not why everyone's on the internet. So there is a slice, a category that they're not considering with all of this. Girl, Charlene, do you know what's going on with Substack? I feel like I'm just here to like ruin the day. I'm like, do you hear what's going on with GitHub? Have you heard what's going on with Substack? Anyway, back to SEO, GEO, insert acronym for the AI age. We'll talk offline about, I'll say offline, we'll talk off stream about Substack if you really want. I completely got distracted. I'm so easily distracted, it's unbelievable. No, I've genuinely forgotten. I told myself when I started this, I'll do a maximum of 90 minutes because no one is going to be here and I'll be chatting to myself and I can happily chat to myself and blah, blah, blah for 90 minutes. We are at an hour and 20 minutes and I don't think I am like anywhere close to being anywhere productive with any of this. But man, there's no defined answers for any of this. It's literally we're thinking out loud about this particular topic together. There's no right or wrong. So let me unhighlight that. So superlines. I'm not sure who superlines are actually. Let me just quickly. Does anyone know who superlines are? Are they people that I should know about? Oh, of course, yeah. They are a AI search intelligence tool. Oh, okay. Anyway, hopefully they've done their research, and hopefully that where they're selling the products comes much further down in the article, and we can just skip it. And it's not baked throughout. So let's go through the summary. AI search optimization now spans 10 plus platforms. You've got ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AI mode, Copilot. Which part of Copilot? Like, honestly, Microsoft, when you were thinking about this, why is everything called Copilot? Everything's called Copilot. When my non-techie friends say to me, blah, 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 Copilot, and I automatically think of GitHub related Copilot and start responding to them, and they're talking about two completely things, they look at me like I'm a crazy person, like an absolute nutter. I'm like, no, everything over there is just called Copilot, and I forgot, and I defaulted to what I would be using Copilot for, not what you would be using it for. I'm like, anyway, I just go off. I go off on one. What was I saying? I was just reading the summary. Let me start again. AI search optimization now spans 10 plus platforms: ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Google AI mode, Copilot, and more. Each with different citation patterns and sentiment profiles. What's a sentiment profile? Does anyone? What's a sentiment profile? Okay. Agentic Commerce is moving from concept to production. Google's universal checkout protocol is live, and AI's agents are beginning to search, compare, and transact on behalf of users. Zero click. AI search means being mentioned inside the answer matters more than ranking it below, with 93% of AI mode sessions ending without a website click. We went through that. I have a question for anyone who's working in e-commerce. Is anyone moving towards agentic commerce or actively working on agentic commerce? I stopped working in e-commerce 5 years ago, so I'm really not up to speed with where that world is. I just use it as a consumer, but I'm really interested. I really want to know the ins and outs. Like, I'm nosy. Give me all the details. What's going on with the agentic commerce world? I'm really, really interested. I genuinely do want to know. Or maybe I'll just build. What's those platforms where you can those quick printing platforms where you can like pretend you're designing a t-shirt and we just get someone clicks on it and it gets printed. I can't remember. I'm babbling. I can't remember the name. Maybe I'll set up one of those really quick, like Etsy style. Not a dig on Etsy, but those really crap Etsy stores that just print whatever design on whatever cheaply made t-shirt and send it out to you. Maybe we'll set one of those up together. Maybe, who knows? Not with the expectation of making money, but just to understand the agentic commerce a bit. Like, that could be an interesting practical experiment to do, just to understand and keep it as cheap as possible. I don't like to spend money. Okay, next point is content freshness. Structured data. So Charlene, what you were saying before about a structured TLDR. This is it. This is a structured data. So keep your content fresh and your data structured. And third-party presence are now measurable citation signals, not optional best practices. If you want me to mention you on my website and vice versa, we can do an exchange so we can start getting cited and having multiple signals. Why is it called Agentic Commerce though? That's it. Print on demand. Thank you. Yes, the crappy Etsy store t-shirt that I was describing is print on demand. Thank you very much. And you also asked, why is that called Agentic Commerce though? So Agentic Commerce is because instead of you searching for a product, let's say a new TV yourself, and going through multiple websites, you can go to the LLM of your choice or conversational chatbot of your choice and say, I want to buy a TV that's 50 inches, OLED, whatever your specs may be. Here's my budget. And it will go and search for the optimal one based on your search and purchase it for you. You don't have to bring out your cards, your Apple Pay, whatever. It will do the purchasing for you. Just based on that narrow or very prescriptive prompt that you give it. So that's why it's Agentic Commerce, because it's not trying to target you, the user. It's trying to target the AI that you're using. And that's why I said maybe we'll do this a print on demand practical experiment just to see how Agentic Commerce works. And it can even lead on to, this whole search discoverability stuff that we're looking into today, because if it's a brand new site with low topical authority, very little presence, how does that work in the world of Agentic Commerce? Make sense? Yeah, hopefully. Charlene, I wasn't insulting you. I wasn't saying that every print on demand is bad quality. I'm sure there are some that are excellent Egyptian cotton of the most worthy quality known to man. It wasn't a personal dig, I promise you. I promise. Do you still have your print on demand business running? And if it is running, how's it going? Okay, and the final point of a summary. Look, we only got to a summary, man. I've been here for an hour and a half. I can babble. Anyway, is GEO market is growing at 50.5% CAGR. Let me see if I can remember what CAGR, the acronym, stands for. Is it compound annual growth rate, I think? Let's assume it is. Right. So it's growing at 50.5% compound annual growth rate with over 150 million US dollars in funding flowing into AI visibility tools, and 54% of US marketers planning to implement GEO within months. Not within years, not within quarters, within months. Things are moving very, very fast. Very fast. So, we only got through the summary. I may end the stream here. Not because I'm not enjoying myself, I promise I really am. But I will stay here for hours and hours and hours. And you will watch the sun come down and I'll still be here. And then I'll realise that I haven't eaten yet. And then I'll be hungry and miserable, and we don't want that. So I'm going to end the stream here. But if you have enjoyed this, let me know. Because maybe I'll start doing this more regularly, not once every 6 years. This is ridiculous. I'm trying to get better and back to being more visible online. It's just not in my nature anymore. I'm trying to. Let me know if this was useful, if I babble too much or whatever, or if there's any other type of thing you would like us to research and go over together. I don't know. I've enjoyed myself and I've learned some new things. We now know that to be discovered in this new world that we're in, we need to have multiple strategies and target various things. So I'm going to continue with my research. This has been a great starting point. And I'm actually going to write up a note or two on my website, heytanhay.com, about all of this as well, which will definitely be more succinct and more, well, less waffly. Still waffly, it's me, let's be honest. But I'm going to let you go because my hand is actually starting to hurt. And enjoy the rest of your day. And I may be back. I'm thinking of coming back on Friday. I don't know what we're going to talk about. We may continue this. Who knows? Who knows what's going to grab my attention and be like, we need to research and think more about this. Who knows what will happen between now and then. But I'll probably be back on Friday afternoon. I don't know what time yet, but Friday afternoon. And someone asked me if they detect a French accent in my voice. No, unfortunately, no. Very much a London voice. And it doesn't go well with voice to text. It's very frustrating using voice to text because a lot of voice to text programs are based on a mid-Atlantic voice, and I have no idea what this means, but it doesn't really pick up on regional accents. Very annoying. Everything seems to annoy me. No, I do. There's a lot of things that I do like. I promise. It's the Londoner in me. You just find everything negative, but I do enjoy some things. Okay. All right. See you all later. This has been lovely, and I will be back on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day.